y'all, it's Sarah. I hope you're doing pretty good today. I am in crafting mode. So I've got a craft that I wanted to share for teachers. You may not want this specific craft, but it's going to give you some ideas of things to do with like the educational and promotional posters you guys get and things like that. I wanted to show that. For regular crafters, don't be afraid of watching this one simply because this is still a cute craft. This particular one is still a cute craft if you decorate for your patriotic holidays. So it's still worth keeping an eye out for. I want to hurry up and jump into this because I'm going to try to get two really large pieces out of what I'm about to show you. Okay, so to get started, I am going to be using 4 full sheets of the 20 by 30 Readi-board brand foam core. And Readi-board brand, this particular one you can find at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walmart. All of those places have it for $1 a sheet or less. This one is my personal preference as far as we're going for the paper type surface, not the laminated plasticky surface. We're wanting this paper surface. If you're not familiar with this, and for most of you that are teachers, you're going to be familiar with this, but this is found in the school supply area, the office supply area, any of those kind of spots, you're going to find this stuff right next to regular poster boards. So let me tell you how we're going to do those 4 full sheets. 2 of them are going to remain absolutely in their full shape, and we're going to cut the other 2 down. We want to cut them at their full 30-inch length, and you're going to need 8 at 3 inches wide, and you're going to need 8 at 1 inch wide. So this equates to about 4 full sheets. Now, there's a few other supplies that I want to share with you, and then we can dive into more excitement on this. So one of the first things that you'll need is, I'm going to be using for this particular project this Dollar Tree package of historical document posters. These are poster size. They're 20 by 28. There are 2 in this one. So we're going to get 2 large pieces of artwork. This is going to kind of work for any of your posters. You can pretty much use this concept. So this is the one I'm going to be using. Really quick tip on these. Take them out the night before you decide to craft with them. Let them lay out flat and just kind of have overnight for the creases to kind of work their way out. So for adhesives, I wanted to go through a couple of things. I'm going to be using glue sticks to construct this piece. However, I wanted to show you a couple of things. So in theory, because I've worked with the foam core and stuff, my initial idea to tack down my posters and get them nice and flat was going to be this aerosol spray adhesive from Dollar Tree. They have 2 different options. They have this beacon version, which is a pump spray, and the aerosol. I was under the assumption that this was going to be my best choice. However, it turns out that both of these products ended up soaking through this poster and started damaging my poster very quickly. And as soon as they started to show signs of drying, it started to curve my foam core up. So be aware of that. Ultimately, I found that just regular glue sticks work the best. I kind of wish I'd have had the fatter ones because this made it a slower process, but the glue sticks tend to work better. They are a less moisture adhesive. You can get a pretty flat application of them. So those worked out for me. The only other thing that I wanted to point out really quick, and as always, my paint tutorials are going to be separate because they take time to show detail, and it's very hard for me to fit that in with an actual craft. I'm going to be doing kind of the barnwood look. That's my go-to look. I love that kind of look. And these are the paints that I usually use for that. And if you check out that tutorial, you'll see how I use them. But it's going to be the Waverly Wax and Antique, the Waverly Wax and Clear, and the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And I'm kind of shooting for something along this line. I really like that with this kind of vintage look. You can pick whatever you want out of the different options and depending on what it is that you're going to be framing out, whatever kind of poster you're going to be using. I just like to share ideas. I kind of leave the specifics up to you guys. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put these guys to the side. They are going to be my backboard pieces. And this time I am using white. Part of the reason I chose white this time is because these posters are fairly thin. The black didn't necessarily show through, but it did shadow them. And doing the white background made it a little lighter and brighter. So that's a personal choice for you guys. Also, either which way, whatever you have on hand, they both work. It's just the black kind of did show through a little bit more. So, really quick, I know you guys probably noticed that I've got this right here going on. So, when I'm going to do a whole lot of pieces, and I've got a video of me doing this as a hack, if you're doing a lot of pieces, or even just a few pieces, I know not everyone can glue down to their desk, and I have a roller chair protector on this that was already abused for years, so I can kind of get away with it. If you can't glue down like this, find you a nice box, tear it apart, flatten it out, and use the same method on that. You can always go back to it and use it more than once every time you get ready to sit and do these. And the reason that this is a really great hack is I have one here and one on the other end that can't even fit in the screen. And I am going to bump these in between here, and they will pretty much wedge in here. And you can see how that pops in there. And once all these are in place, I can sit and do my painting. Lots of strips at a time. They're still individual strips, so I'm going to get a very unique look for each one of them. But I don't have to worry about getting my fingerprints on them. I don't have to worry about holding on to them. They're not sliding and flying across my desk every time I hit them with the sponge. So this is a really great hack for anybody that's doing any of these, to be honest. But with doing 8 of these right here, I felt like this was a super easy way to go. I'm going to go ahead and get these painted out, and we'll get started on construction. Okie dokie, so my pieces are all painted out. They're working on drying. They're halfway dry. We're going to go ahead and move to kind of the next step of this. So I'm going to come in with my full sheet, and I'm going to have to work sideways for you guys because this is so large. And I'm going to bring in, the reason why I said this was, I had to be careful with the glue. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that is a paper. It's not the shiny, what you would typically get, that laminated paper, magazine type gloss paper that you get a lot of times. This is actually a very papery surface. So here is a couple things that I wanted to point out. Now, if you look, this poster measures out at supposed to be 20 inches by 28 inches, and our foam core should be 20 inches by 30 inches. One of the things that you'll notice is that it's actually about 1/8 of an inch off. So what I want you to keep in mind, if you're going to be doing this one specifically, is when you get to the Bill of Rights one, you've got a slightly larger margin on this side than you do this side. So keep that in mind when you go to lay this and adhere this. Bump over to this edge so that that little gap is on this side. Now, this one is kind of the same way. The indentation is a little further over. One of the things I want to show you is right here and right here. So I'm just going to come in with my ruler, and I am going to mark like at the 1 inch mark. Just maybe a little teeny tiny hair under. Actually, I think I'm spot on. The reason we're going to do that is because we kind of want to cover this correctly. We want to get it where that little gap is at the top and the bottom. I'm going to come in with my glue stick, and I want to show you a few tips and tricks on getting this adhered down nicely. Now, I will say that because I am a Cricut user, I do have some of the nice Cricut tools and those kind of things. But I'm going to say, when working with this, and this particular paper, this worked out better for me. So this is just one of the larger Dollar Tree popsicle sticks. You can also see sometimes why having this little work spot here is almost like a built-in stopper is super helpful. So one of these I've already started using. Let me finish using it out. It took quite a bit of glue from the glue stick. So I'm going to zoom in on you just for a split second so you guys can kind of see closely where I'm lining up at. There we go. So I'm just going to start in one corner. You definitely want to get your edges. And I started down here at this bottom corner, got my alignment. Making sure that it's going to line up all the way up there. Once you start right here on this corner, you've got a little time to play. Now, once one of your sections adheres down, it doesn't want to slide for you nearly as easily. Okay, so now that I've got that down, I'm just using its folds and creases. That way I'm not having to fold over it nearly as much. I don't risk tearing it. And I am going to continue to do the same thing. All the way across that bottom. And you can do this however you feel comfortable with. I'm just showing you what really worked well for me. So instead of using this on the edge like I was tempted to do, it worked out better for me holding it very, very flat and pushing across like this. And like I said, do it whatever way makes you feel confident in doing it. But if that doesn't work out for you, this is the method that worked out for me. After a couple awkward tries. So you can see I'm pretty much trying to get full coverage. And this would have been so much easier with the big fat glue sticks. And there you go. It took the first one took a brand new glue stick. And that was just what little bit was left on that glue stick. So it'll take you, of the smaller ones, it's probably going to take you good 2 glue sticks for this. So I've got some pretty good glue coverage there. I'm going to keep manipulating this around. And once again, I'm going to come in. I'm starting in this center section where the center crease is and kind of spanning out towards those edges, and that's really where I had the best luck. I didn't end up with as many creases. Once I started doing that, my very first few tries, I was getting a lot of creases in my paper. So I'm just going to finish adhering this down. Okie dokie, guys. I have gotten mine adhered down, and I'm going to tell you, if you follow the directions I just gave you, now the first one I had some stumbling points, but I just did this entire piece that exact way that I told you, going down the middle, using the glue stick, keeping this flat and sliding it across. So much better adhesion. Like, I've got such a nice, smooth attachment to that. Okay, so we've got this part done. Here is where things start getting interesting. One, trying to get it where you guys can see the full piece, and two, kind of walking you through how we're going to do this. So I'm going to slide that to the side, and I'm going to come in with, I'm going to need 4 of my pieces here. Now, I want to show you what we're going to do. Then I'm going to kind of pull it apart and start gluing it down. So I need to flip this over at this point. And now I realize that you can only see so much of this. Here is where I love having my little stoppers and stuff to work. Look at this. I can perfectly line those up without it sliding around on me, so that I can mark this other side. So here is where I stand right at this moment. Can you see this alignment? So what I'm going to do is just come in with a pencil, and I'm going to mark where my cuts are so that I can do all of my cuts at one time. I'm just going to come and mark straight down this side. So we're going to end up cutting probably, what, 4 inches off of here, roughly 3 3/4 it looks like. We're going to do the same thing for both ends. So really quickly, I'm going to try to make enough room to show you guys everywhere. I'm going to grab just my little cutting mat. I only need just to cut a small portion here. So I've got my small cutting mat, got my little mark. This is why some of my ends, my edges of these are done, but a lot of my ends I did not do because we were going to be trimming these off. Let me find, well, we'll just go this way. It's marked. So I'm going to start up here with my blade, start dragging down well above my cut. And it works so nicely that way. And here we go. That should work out just perfectly. And assuming that we've got all of our cuts correct, I can use this same piece to mark this one, and you can see on this one what I mean. I did not necessarily paint the edge because we'll be cutting those off, and we want to finish out those edges and kind of do that quality control there at the end anyway. So I'm just lining these up, marking that off, and this is what's going across our shorter width of this entire piece. This is how we're going to beef this up without having all the weight that's going to be unnecessary. This is how we get a little extra size and scale to this. And we're going to be able to minimize pretty much most of the weight on this. So I've got everything face down, and here is why. This is where our duct tape comes in. So really quickly, I want to grab, it's probably going to take me a couple of these rolls. I know they were down to their last remnants here. I'll pull my little plastic piece off here so I can reuse that. Those are just, Dollar Tree has the little tiny craft organizer divider boxes, and that's one of the little dividers inside of it. So this piece is honestly not even going to go all the way across here. I'm going to have to patch this together. Ordinarily, I would just go across with one swoop of a piece. And I'm going to start as close to the end without actually getting on that end. I'm going to make sure I pull everything nice and tight together. I've kind of rolled my tape on myself. Oh, I did not space it nicely. That is a problem. This is what I mean. You definitely want to pull these really tight. One little gap is going to kind of mess up the process there of stabilizing this this outer frame kind of portion that we are improvising onto here. There we go. See, no big deal. You work right through these things. Wow, you can tell the difference in this tape. This is a Dollar Tree duct tape. There definitely wasn't as much drag when I went to pull that. It's a much thinner tape. Just on the informational side, this is certainly a much thinner version of a duct tape. Okay, we are going to carefully move this around. They are going to wiggle for the moment. Don't worry, we're going to secure that. It's going to be nice and strong. Let's see if I can get this one down here. Pop this in this corner. And I'm running out of my space here. I'm telling you guys, this ends up being a nice size piece. So I'm going to start all the way at this end. And I'm doubling over that since this is a much thinner duct tape or much thinner I guess it still would be duct tape, just not the name brand version. Okay, so we've got that nice and tight and secure, and we're going to work our way all the way around this piece. At the moment, these are flexible. Give you an opportunity to make any adjustments if you need to. I'm going to pull this down tight. And honestly, I find this so much easier to do with scissors. I usually try to use my blade because it's always close by, but this is easier with, well, maybe it's not easier with scissors. Okay, pulling these really tight. This is where this stopper, once again, is such a handy little setup to have on your space. I know I keep saying that, but that's why it's still here on my desk. Is because I found that even during the assembly part of this craft, it's handy to have also. Because you can see now everything is sliding on me since it's not lined on that stopper. Okie dokie, so here is where we are. And I'm going to flip this back over. Okie dokie, guys, I've got my piece flipped over, and I want to show you something. So right now we kind of have this flex edge on our edges, and I want to show you how we're going to handle this. I'm just going to come right in here with my glue gun. Now, if you've got a temperature change on your gun, you need to change this to the lowest temperature because the heat absolutely can melt your foam, and your foam is completely exposed on these edges that we're about to do this to. So, really quickly, I'm going to put a stream of glue down that and pop it in place. Quick tip, if you've got hot glue oozing, take one of your other hot glue sticks. I was doing this with popsicle sticks, and part of my problem with using popsicle sticks to clean that edge up like that is that my popsicle sticks were wanting to glue to it as I slid it across. So I just use the kind of edge of my glue stick, and that ends up working really nicely. Now these sides are they're pretty tight, and they're going to be even tighter by the time this is all said and done. But my two ends definitely kind of have this little flap scenario going on here. So same thing on this end. We're going to zoom down that, pop that in place, lay this guy flat. I'm going to clean up any glue that I might have pop out of that crease. And most of that's going to be kind of hidden out anyway with the rest of our framing. So next thing, I want to get my smaller strips. And guys, I absolutely fibbed to you on the strips. I told you that they were 1 inch by 30 inches. And they're 1 1/4 inches by 30. So I fibbed to you on that. Now, we want to start on the two longer sides, your two 30-inch sides. And there's a reason we want to start on those sides in order to get this alignment. So what I'm going to do here is gluing this pretty heavy on here because I want there to be plenty of glue to hit this side, and to kind of smush down in this little crack here. I am going to glue this pretty heavily. Really quick tip, we have a hard time going back in and painting these edges. If you don't have that done, just come in with your sponge. Be sure to go ahead and get those edges. The rest of them, you know, we typically do while we're painting, but I didn't do the very ends of any of mine because I knew that we were going to be doing some trimming and we were going to trim those ends off anyway. So I just have kind of my saturated sponge from painting them, and it's probably still enough paint on there to do these last little tip ends. So I'm going to bring in my thinner strip. I'm going to glue this up really nicely. And I want to try to hit it kind of over the center of that. Okay, so that is offering more stability. And I'm going to do it to both sides. With my two sides in place, my next step is to come in and we're going to cut these to this length. So I've just got my strip. I'm going to fit it right into place. And the reason that I wanted to do this one kind of after the fact is just in case there was a little bit of a gap difference between this end and that end, we could kind of accommodate for that right now and cut accordingly. And I'm going to mark this out and trim these down. So you can see I trimmed it down. I went ahead and finished out all my little side edges that were raw from trimming it down. We're going to load this one up with glue also because we want it to hit really snug against this. I am going to line it up with that other section. And kind of make sure it's slid all nice in place. So I want you to kind of see just the massive size of this piece. Now, you would think that we should be done. However, we are not done. There's a couple more details that I want to show you. Firstly, is going to be any of your raw sides that aren't painted out. You're going to want to do that. But there was one detail that I kind of left out for you guys, and I left the supplies off of this. So I'm going to set this to the side because I want you to see. You could leave it just like this if you wanted to. But I told you I was going to show you some ways to offer even more stability. This piece is giant, guys. I've got my phone or my video panned out pretty far. And it messes with the perception of size and scale to me on these pieces. Sorry, I dropped my fan. I had to fix that. So my next couple of items, and like I said, this part is completely unnecessary, but I do like the details. So I've got some of the Dollar Tree adhesive pearls. I've got a couple of these larger tongue depressor popsicle sticks. I'm going to need a ruler because I'm going to measure these out at about 2 inches a piece. And I've just got some black paint. This is the Waverly ink. So to begin with, I'm just, you know what? Guys, there is a size difference in those. Can you see that? I'm going to grab one that is a little closer in size because that would bother me to know that. So I'm just going to mark one straight edge on these and measure these out. And you can do this at any size. I'm doing them at about 2 inches. That's going to give some pretty decent strength. You can cut these with anything, and I will show you. Here is a pair of scissors. You can go through with scissors. You can use wire cutters. You can use anything. I've got tin snips because they make it like butter. And you can see how much easier that pops off for me. Now, the way these are made, it doesn't matter what you use to cut it with. Between your craft knife, your scissors, anything, you can end up with this split kind of wood portion. So before we go to paint this, just take something to sand with. And I'm just using a Dollar Tree sanding block. Run those across there. Get those edges smoothed out so that you don't have those little jagged pieces sticking up. It just gives a much cleaner look, and once they're all painted out, it gives you a little bit more realism. All my little pieces are now sanded. The edges no longer have any of those rough spots sticking out. I am going to come in here with my little adhesive pearls, and it doesn't matter which color they are. This part is a struggle. I think I popped that one off the adhesive. So let me try with a new one. This is easier said than done. I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch down. Right in the center. You could do some smaller ones and do it in every corner. You could do several more all the way down. So I'm just going to adhere all of these. With all my pearls adhered down, I'm going to take these, flip these upside down, and put a little pressure on it to make sure that they really are stuck. And to be honest, this wood is pretty porous. It doesn't take much to really get them to stick. And once I'm sure that they're all stuck, I'm going to come in with just my ink color. And I'm going to paint all of these little pieces completely black. I'm going to get the edges. Usually I do front and back just to make sure that I don't happen to miss any. So as you can see, my little pieces have been fully covered. We are going to bring our large piece back in. And I can still only show you a little at a time on this. I'm going to take these little hardware looking pieces. And I'm going to attach them down. I do honestly believe that I made my other ones just a little longer, so they won't be identical. But I think the visual variety will be nice. So I'm just gluing these down over these joints. And this is going to help stabilize this, this extra edge even more. So we're going to tack each one of these down. Not only does it have a purpose, but it's a great little detail touch. If you didn't want to add this detail, you could do this very same thing to the backside with just a flat popsicle stick if you felt like it wasn't stable enough for you. But once this is attached to the wall and you're not moving it around heavily, it is fine. Okay. So those pieces are in place. Guys, there is no way I can span far enough back for you to see just the size of this. But I will show you the measurements because I'm pretty excited about how large this is and how lightweight it is. Should be right about 3 feet. It is. It's spot on. A whopping 3 feet. So this guy's big. When you put these together, you're going to have over 6 feet. Of decor. So this is this is 26.5 inches wide. So this is a really, really good size piece. When you have these side by side and those two pieces together, this is going to make a heck of a statement. I hope it gave you some ideas. This can be done with any poster. The cool thing about doing it this way, this thing is so lightweight because it still ultimately is a large flat sheet, basically. All you have to do to hang one like this, when it's this lightweight, take your poster putties to strategically pop it in your corners for sure. A couple center points here, and you should be good to go. The sticky putty should be able to hold this up. Absolutely, a command strip's going to hold it up. A combination of both if you really feel like it's necessary. But I absolutely think this would be awesome, as large as these are, for a fireplace setting, for 4th of July, any Memorial Day, any of those kind of patriotic holidays. The set of these together is a really large kind of collection. For teachers, I think this is fantastic. You know, without being political, this is an election year. This is still a cool thing. No matter which way you look at it, I think it's a cool project. I definitely think it's something that works great for teachers, and you guys can change this to suit. You saw really how quickly it was pretty much put together, or how easily it was pretty much put together. You could do this with any poster you get, any promotional teaching aids that you get. You can do this with regular posters, just any of those things, because the average poster is about the same size as our foam core sheets. And this allows you to really get a beefier frame, you know, a much larger frame. I could have probably gone wider with this. I could have probably come out with a 4-inch side section and really expanded it even more. But I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys get a chance to craft, whether today or sometime this weekend. And even if this was not a craft for you, no matter what, hopefully you picked up a tip or trick or two, or at least an idea, put some thoughts in your brain, get your noodle going. So there you go. There is a finished piece. I'll be sure to get up photos of both of these pieces. Hopefully I can get them set somewhere or placed somewhere where you guys can really see the scale of this. And I have teachers in my neighborhood. I really would love to do a set of these for all of them, although I could not find any more of the posters this week, but I did go to a different Dollar Tree than I usually do, so that may be why. But there you go. I hope you guys like it. I love this frame. I really, really do. I kind of want to try it on a couple other things. One last quick tip before I bail out. Here's a little something that I wanted to show you. You see that little bit of white right there where I didn't necessarily line up fully perfectly. Happy. Come in with a little, this is my mix. This is my side mix that I like to use. That's got the Waverly Antique and the ink and the clear all mixed together. Just pop in there with a little brush. It is tedious to do all of your edges this way, to sit and try to paint them out this way. But if you have like just a little spot that you didn't necessarily realize that there would be white showing through. All I had was that one little spot, but I wanted to show you that tip really quick. Just take a regular brush, dip down in there, kind of tap it in, and you're good to go. And there we go. That was my last little tip. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am looking forward to bringing you a whole bunch more if you guys can keep tolerating me. I'm going to finish out my edges, and I'm off. Bye, guys.